You have whatever AI models that your company has chosen.
There's all these data points. All that stuff kind of needs to be cleaned up.
Where instead of having to move data between systems, now you have AI talk directly to them.
I know, right? Silicon Valley, that's all we run on these. Hey, William. So recently I was on a call. I was talking to an associate of mine, and he was just bringing up how he feels his company is AI ready. And I thought, what an interesting
Is this like
word.
a term or something?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
That
It's
is
a
an interesting word.
new buzzword I've heard. And let's get your take on it. What do you feel? How would you feel about a term called like AI readiness? Like, what do you think that means?
Oh my God, another buzzword. I don't need any more buzzwords.
I know, right? Silicon Valley, that's all we run on these. Not a
AI
transition.
ready.
Yeah.
Wow. So AI ready, I would think, would be you have all of your tooling set up, you have whatever AI models that your company has chosen, and you're now implementing it across the org, right? And probably starting in customer service if you're customer facing, or maybe use it internally. Most people start with chatbots, right?
Yeah.
And
So
chatbots are a great win. Everyone loves chatbots.
they are. And I think let's dive into some details and introduce everybody to our podcast. Welcome to our podcast.
And I'm William.
And I'm Samad. Welcome to our podcast. So let's dive into some of the key points that we're saying a company needs to have to be AI ready.
All right. So off the top of your head, what are you thinking? So AI ready, what are some of the key points you want to hit on?
So, I mean, obviously data, right? That's going to be priority number one. What does your walled garden look like? Are you protecting your data? What data do you plan to share with your AI, LLMs, whatever, what have you? Are you planning to share, internal data, customer data, docs, code? I guess that's probably where I'd start.
Right. And who has access to it?
Yeah. Where
Right.
does it live?
That's another thing you have to care about here. Yeah. Now, how are you going to control access to your data?
And
What
then,
systems does it live in? Data lives in multiple systems.
and that kind of takes us straight into like, what's the second point, right? How do you get that data to the LLM? Like, how are you going to be ingesting it through pipelines? Are you sending it through prompts? Are you creating knowledge bases hooked up to RAG systems? Are you ingesting your knowledge bases at all? What
Yeah, and
what are you
it seems
integrating?
to me that right. So of the companies I've been with, it seems that early on you have this fragmentation of data where depending on which model and which technologies you're using, the data may need to be localized there. So I've seen solutions where they'll choose a data lake and they'll put some data in there and they'll separate it out. So that means your data really is living in two places. It's living within the system it came from, and then it also lives in this now separate system. And then I've also seen even in the same company like have S3 buckets, right? And they're because they're using AWS services like Bedrock
And I would
to read from
guess
it. And so now
all
you just start to
three.
have copies of your data.
Yeah, everywhere.
Yeah,
Right.
all three
And would
everywhere.
would you guess that all three have different permission systems around them? Like there's three different sets
Oh
of
yeah,
people
exactly. Right.
interacting
There's
with
all
all three
different
different.
permissions. Yeah, exactly.
We have so there's like all these disparate systems. There's all these data points. Uh all that stuff kind of needs to be cleaned up. Like we can't just unleash AI into these, chaotic worlds. And then it goes right into like what's the next point? Like what systems are we connecting the AI to? And then what is it actually being able to do? I mean, you did kind of kick this off with chatbots, right? That is that first iteration of every
Yeah.
company is diving into AI and starting their chatbots, plugging up their knowledge bases. But pretty quickly, right after that, we're moving into the agentic world. And how do we get our systems to interact with AI and do stuff?
Right. And I can see a world here where MCP servers or something like MCP servers play a role, where instead of having to move data between systems, now you have AI talk directly to them and query across multiple systems.
What does it have access to? And we're back to the whole permission escalation problem. And one of the terms I think people will start to hear more as AI enters the enterprise, that confused deputy issue. Can it retrieve things that you don't actually have
Yeah.
access to in the first place?
Right.
How
Right.
much is it
Yeah.
exposing? And now we're into like security and governance. What is what
Yeah.
is the governance model for AI? What are the policies we're putting around all these things?
Uh, Organizations definitely need to define those, and every organization is going to be different because they're under different regulatory compliance standards, right? Like you may have a telecommunications company that operates globally, and then you may have another company who's in medical devices, and they operate differently. So each one of them is going to have to develop their own policies to manage access to their data and how they share it, how they talk to each other, what agents are doing what, and where that data goes.
Yeah, and then we're not even bringing in things like GDPR or SHREMS or some of the bigger, national or political laws that we have to follow to actually even operate in those countries on all those regulatory
Right,
compliance, you know, whatever aspects of it. So I and
right,
once you have data, your systems integration, your governance kind of dialed in, I mean, then what? Like, where are you
yeah.
deploying? Where are you just interacting with a third party service? Are you deploying your own models? What does that look like for your company?
Right. So it seems like the next step after the chatbots is automations. You know, some companies will do them together side by side because it's a real natural fit, right? And so then now you have automations. Now you have agents that write to other systems, right? So no longer just reading, but it's actually making changes in your payment system, right? Or making changes to HR systems, like key and critical systems that will need to have human approval before changes are made, right? And especially if you're having the AI not write code for those interactions. So every time it interacts with the systems, it's a variable. You don't know what it could hallucinate or, did the model change and now
Is it
it's going to
even going
slightly
to
behave
interact?
differently?
Yeah, is it going to interact with the system in the same way that it did the last time, or is it going to like put out a whole new set of code and
Yeah.
go after it that way? I do imagine some of those aspects are
Yeah.
getting dialed in, but I mean, I think you brought up a good point. Right now, now you have agentic systems. They're working with different things. They're doing things on those platforms. Like, how do you measure that? Like, how do you know once you brought in AI that there was an actual increase in productivity or reduction in X or Y? I mean, what are the measurable metrics? Are you going off of just your feelings? I think this will be better, or is there like a concrete number that you're looking at?
Mm.
Yeah, I think
Yeah, that's interesting because, right now, without AI, say you were to approach a ticketing system and you wanted to reduce the amount of time it takes to actually close the ticket, right? So without AI there, you would have some ideas, and you'd start to create some automations there, and maybe you wouldn't measure it. Sometimes a project is going to be like, hey, we're going to shorten the amount of time it takes to do a thing. But now you bring AI into it, and people start asking that question of like, what is our ROI here? And it's almost like the measurement comes up first now when it didn't before. And so now we can start actually measuring, and you could probably have AI build it for you as well. Like, how much time are we actually saving here, right?
yeah, an actual measurable outcome. Which when I hear AI readiness, these are the things that I think need to be in place. Actual metrics that you're measuring, the walled garden for your data, the governance, the security setup on your integrations in your agentic layer. I guess that's where I think my head is at when I hear AI readiness. How about you?
AI readiness, yeah. I would say that you have to have your security posture dialed in, your policies dialed in, your pipelines. So, you could go with an off-the-shelf model, but you most likely are going to want to have a little bit more control than that and observability. So you may want to build like an internal pipeline where you have tools that ensure that you're not sending PII to the model, that you have a way for developers to iterate and develop uh, their their prompts and can see the outputs and that the outputs are what they expect. So you almost have to build an internal platform, right? To make sure. So I would say like AI readiness includes that you need to have all of those pieces dialed in. Would you include anything else in that?
No, I think you covered it. But I guess so. How do we take that? So we have this idea of these are all the things we need, and now we have a million tools on the market. What are we looking for when we're looking at tools? Are we looking at the tools that are closing those gaps and have measurable outcomes that we can see, or are we guessing? Like I guess, yeah, I'll pose that as a question.
Yeah, it almost comes down to the build versus buy. Before AI, you could always build internal tools, right? Or you can go look on the market for them. And right now, the AI tooling space is really just getting started. And yes, there's like tens of thousands of products out there already, right? And it's just getting started. So I think at the end of the day, you're going to have some automations that you build internally because they just work with the way that your uh, organization is set up, right? That there is really no tool for it, or it would be too expensive. And then there's just going to be tools that you just buy to fill the gaps. Like maybe maybe your ticketing tool has an AI module that you can just plug into it, and then now it does a bunch of automations for you.
Well, I think this is a good first pass on what AI readiness means. I'm gonna say
Yeah.
let's walk away with a couple takeaways. We want
Okay.
we want to be goal oriented. We want to be focused on covering our walled garden, and we want to make sure our policies and security in place. Is there anything you want to add to that?
No, but I would try to centralize all your tooling and your platform as much as possible. And if you can, you really want to have developer enablement. So that way it reduces the load on your organization for having developers that on every team, and
Yeah, you don't want
you
this
really
to
want to make it
only be
approachable to people who, yeah, right.
100%.
That's the whole point of AI is that you may not need developers as much as you used to.
I 100% agree with that. And that would be
Yeah.
the best part about it. So, thanks all for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
All right. Bye, everyone.